questions I get a lot is, do you need to be a designer to be a brand strategist? Now, depending on your perspective, the good news is that no, you do not need to be a designer to be a brand strategist. I want to show you some of the traits that good brand strategists have, and you might be surprised to find that what you perceived as weaknesses can actually be strengths. See, brand strategy is one of those elusive industries where those of us who have wide-ranging abilities but who have worried about not feeling like we have a real one thing that we can specialize in, we can feel right at home, and in fact, we can excel as brand strategists. Brand strategy has been gaining traction over the last few years, but in my opinion, it is rapidly taking on the wrong connotation. Unfortunately, it's kind of becoming a process that designers are using simply to sell more design. Now, in certain cases, that is a perfectly valid result if it's related to real client needs. But if the end goal of getting more design is pre-decided, then the strategy is fundamentally flawed from the beginning. It's a little like a waiter giving you a dessert menu when he's only got cheesecake left in the kitchen. For every question you ask, he's going to direct you to the cheesecake. Whether you like it or not, you're having cheesecake for dessert. And worse, he's going to convince you that it's what you wanted in the first place. Now, that's not to say that this is being done from a nefarious intent, right? Not every brand strategist out there is trying to deceive their clients. But it is happening because a lot of designers are looking for ways to get out of the commodity world, and they're being sold training for brand strategy that is focused on exactly that. Run the client through some exercises to develop a list of materials that they will then need you to design, right? I know because I'm a huge proponent of continuing to learn, and so I've taken a lot of the training out there. Now, let me be clear. When approaching strategy from the right perspective, the right designers can be phenomenal brand strategists, but so can a lot of other people. And I actually think it would be a massive disservice to the business world if they're getting put off or discouraged because a new trend is making the job look less attainable or like it's only attainable if you're a designer. So again, no, you do not have to be a designer to be a good brand strategist. So, who should be a brand strategist? Or more to the point, who's most likely to be successful as a brand strategist and absolutely love coming to work every day? Because isn't that the point? There's a big difference between choosing brand strategy because you're sick of shitty creative customers versus choosing strategy because it's an endlessly enjoyable opportunity. So here's some of the traits that a brand strategist needs to have. First, you need to be curious. The more curious, the better. To build a brand effectively, you have to have at least an awareness of a wide range of marketing, industry, and popular trends. And that's not just for creating consumer brands. Remember, the consumer is a person, not an audience. And B2B buyers are people too. So that means having a decent understanding of what's happening in politics, science, music, fine art, movies, technology, demographics, language, and a bunch of other fields that are going to impact people's interests, communication, and behavior. Now, you don't need to have a broad knowledge in all of those, right? But the more the better, and you build that over time through your natural curiosity, okay? Next up, you have to be empathetic. Brand strategy is about helping a brand exploit its full potential. And to do that, you're going to be finding how it can be relevant to consumers. So understanding what people want and need, understanding how they think, how they act and feel is vital to connecting a brand with its consumers. And with the exception of very, very few and very rare cases, you're going to be trying to uncover a brand's relevance towards consumers that are nothing like you. So that means you're going to have to be able to put yourself in the shoes of those audiences to truly understand what drives them. So you want to figure out what keeps them up at night and how the brand that you're building can help. And to do that, you need that level of empathy. Next, you need to be able to simplify complex concepts. So when you're doing brand research, you're going to be exposed to a lot of different opinions, a lot of different perspectives, and typically differing agendas, right? So a lot of what you're sifting through will be incomplete, and in some cases, it's even going to be conflicting. And for the most part, your client will typically think the brand should be everything to everyone, okay? In the real world, brands are going to have primary and secondary messages for a variety of audiences. But to be a good strategist, You need to be able to separate the good from the bad and focus on the right data that will help the client build the right messaging for their brand. Okay? Next, you need to be able to solve problems. Solving real business problems from market research and consumer insights is going to let you find opportunities where the client typically has not. This comes back to that whole can't read the label from inside the bottle thing. When done properly, brand strategy is firmly in the business planning camp, okay? The result of your brand strategy work is going to be things like the addition or removal of products and services, changes in company or product names, prices, target markets, messaging, culture, communication style, and much, much more, right? So that might already be resonating with some of you, curious, problem solver, business knowledge or interest, communications or marketing abilities, pop culture and human behavior interests. But what about that jack of all trades dilemma? I referenced this earlier, where someone feels like they don't necessarily have a specialty or they're not great at any one thing, but they happen to be quite capable and often really good at lots of different things. So when I first thought of this, I read that there are 3 kinds of individuals, right? I-shaped. So these are people with a deep knowledge in one area. They're experts in that and they've dedicated themselves only to that area. So at the same time, their scope of knowledge is not broad, right? It's narrow, hence the I shape. So as an example, a person who has in-depth knowledge in design, but doesn't know anything about how either things or the business or teams are managed. My wife actually spoke to a designer last week about strategy. She was asking about learning how to do strategy sprints. She literally said, I don't want to do any of that. I just want to design. And there's nothing wrong with that, okay? Next, the next shape of person is T-shaped. So these are people who have broad knowledge, but it's a surface knowledge of a lot of things. So they know about various things and topics, but at the same time, they have in-depth knowledge in one area. So that in-depth knowledge might not be quite as deep as the knowledge of an I-shaped person, but it's still enough to call them as an expert, right? For example, a person who has in-depth knowledge in the creative industry, but also knows how to manage a small team. So they know how to communicate well, they know how to have meaningful conversations, even with clients, for example. Often, this is the creative entrepreneur. And then the last one is H-shaped. So these are individuals that have a broad surface knowledge about many things, but they also have in-depth knowledge in 2 areas, hence the 2 verticals in the H, right? They can act as a bridge between 2 I-shaped people, between an I and a T, or between 2 T-shaped individuals. So they're experts in 2 areas, but at the same time, they've got a lot of knowledge about a broad range of stuff. For example, a person who has in-depth knowledge in creative and in-depth knowledge in business can act as a bridge between a business analyst and a design team, for example. People love to be around them because they can speak their language, but they can still have a detailed conversation about other stuff. But I actually think that many people perceive themselves as a 4th type. So extending the I, the T, or the H-shaped analogy, the 4th type that people perceive themselves to be is dash-shaped, okay? Which is someone with a wide range of experiences or abilities, but who believe they have no deep knowledge or skill in one specific area. So typically this is a person who feels like they're a jack of all trades, but a master of none. They're naturally very capable individuals, but often they're very easily bored. So this person often feels like they get frustrated because they don't feel like they have a skill that they can fall back on. But in actual fact, they are often amazing strategists. So their easily bored nature makes them endlessly curious. Their broad range of knowledge gives them insight, within reason, of course. The knowledge has to come from some basis in business, marketing, communications, right? But it's often going to include things that specialists don't have, like psychology, interest in people and their behaviors. Personal development is often very important to the dash-shaped person. So these are all really important pieces of a strategist's personality. So the point of all that is just that if you're not a designer and you're interested in pivoting into a brand strategist role, please continue that exploration. Realistically, you need to be a problem solver, which requires logical thinking. It helps, obviously, to be curious and interested in popular culture, world events, human behavior. Of course, some marketing or business communication experience is very helpful, whether that's design or web or digital marketing or any number of other options like public relations, etc., right? It helps to be a good researcher, and this is what's missing from most brand strategy training out there. Research is at the core of every sprint that we do. As an entrepreneur, you've already got an interest in business, which is vital, but you need to see brands through the eyes of their consumer, okay? You'll also need to direct a room full of people, all of whom have different agendas and different perspectives. But that's actually easier than you might think. I can show you exactly how to do that, no matter how little experience you have in running a branding team. And then finally, you have to trust your instincts. So insights are revealed in different ways, so you need to trust your gut when it feels right, and you need to be able to guide the team in a way that they can arrive at the same insights and understandings. Again, if you're not sure how to run strategy for a client team, but you're interested in exploring whether becoming a brand strategist is the right direction for you, please don't let not knowing how to run strategy sessions stop you from exploring further. I can teach you the process for running brand strategy sprints for your clients. We have 5 separate sprints that we offer to clients at varying times in their business lifecycle and their business needs. From a brand sprint to a naming sprint to a product validation sprint to the enormously popular messaging sprint and even an audience definition sprint. So please don't let not knowing how stop you from exploring if it's right for you. And I'm sure there are lots of other processes out there as well for becoming a strategist. Like anything, you really just need to be shown how, okay? So find a teacher that you connect with, and most importantly, make sure that the strategy process is designed to uncover actual business building results and not just some design work for the strategist, okay? Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you got some value from it. If you want to know more about how to sell strategy to clients, and some of the brand strategy sprints that you can offer at various times in your client's business life cycle, you can check out my free masterclass on how to sell strategy to creative clients. Just click the button below here if that interests you. Thanks again for watching, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the class. Bye for now.